Hey, what's up, everybody? Championship Leadership Podcast. I'm excited today. We're with Belen Alcala from Walnut Park, just outside of Los Angeles, California. So thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. A little bit nervous, but excited to share.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's we're just here having a conversation, and I reached out to Belen. She's kind of like one of my biggest fans on the podcast here. She's always sharing uh, certain episodes that she really is excited about or that gets a lot out of, and I've followed her a little bit, and I'm interested in her story. And she's got a business of her own that I think is really interesting. So I'm excited to kind of get into our conversation here today. So the first question, as you already know, is championship leadership's the name of the podcast. What comes to mind for you, or what does that mean to you when you hear championship leadership?
So for me, it's someone who's constantly carving different aspects of themselves to be better. So constantly asking, what can I do better? How can I be better? Learning, reaching out, because we don't all have the answers to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a leader that I personally would like to follow is someone who's constantly asking and who also, I've been around bosses who don't understand the person beneath them and how their job works. So someone who's also committed to employees that are below them and are asking, how can we better the company? How can I make your job better? That's what I look for. That's what I think in a person of championship leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, thank you. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do, the path that you've been on, and kind of what's gotten you to what you are doing today and what you're up to today.
Well, let's rewind to high school, college days, and then where I am now.
Yeah.
Um, in high school, I grew up, I've been thinking a lot about how I want to share my story and what my truth is. And my truth is that I've been a very sheltered kid. My mom kept me very sheltered because she was a single mother and she worked to keep a roof over our head. So because of that, I lacked education. I lacked a lot of skills, really. So I started to learn a lot of things about myself and how being sheltered affected me as a young woman today. So when I went to high school, I did it because my friends told me, "Hey, let's go to a music school. Don't go to the school in your neighborhood. Do better." It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
my mother. It wasn't my father who did that. It was the people around me who had the same similar interests. So I went ahead and did that. I went to a magnet school by myself, got on, interviewed for a clarinet, and the teacher was like, "Come on in. We want you to join the program." And after high school, I also didn't have anybody to coach me through what's going to happen after high school. What do I do? And I
Mm-hmm.
had a moment where a friend of mine said, "Are you going to be another statistic? Are you just going to have kids and not do anything?" And that kind of made me realize, oh crap, I need to start filling out applications for college. So now I'm in college and I'm first generation. I don't know how to understand any of it. I don't know how to read even the classroom. Where is this classroom and where do I
Yeah.
go? All this was new to me. I considered myself a really good student. I was always at the top of my class, but when I went to college, it was a whole different environment, education,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through a lot of bumps trying to understand where do I belong, what do I do, and a lot of like, maybe I shouldn't do this, I should do this. But I never had anyone to guide me through college. So I was just a deer in headlights the entire time. And finally, I said, I need to make a decision. What am I going to do? So I sat down. I said, what do I like? I've always loved science. I said, okay, what can I do to give back and help? I said, well, I think I would like to get into something real deep. And that to me was cancer. I always wanted to help people with cancer. That still is in me. I still want to be able to come up with a solution for people that have cancer, because to me, it has been a huge thing that has happened in our society where so many people have different forms of cancer.
Yeah.
So I started going into that, and I noticed I was having problems adjusting to the everything that was being taught to me. And I didn't understand why. So the longer I was taking to figure out what my problem was, the longer I was struggling. But I was doing everything I needed to do to try to figure out what was wrong with me. So finally someone said, hey, have you thought that maybe you have some type of learning disability? And I thought, no way. I've been doing good. I was
Yeah.
4.0 GPA in high school. There's no way.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I did have a learning disability. It was too late. At this time, I was also in the hotel industry. So I started from front desk and I moved all the way up to corporate sales. So I was one of the top sales and marketing representative. I helped open hotels. I did really good at that. I loved it. I loved doing hotel sales. Anything that had to do with hotel sales, I was into it. And I was the go-to person when they said, hey, we're going to open a hotel. Hey, this account needs to be taken care of. You take care of it. And I took care of multiple accounts, and I was still in college. So it was a very stressful time. But my college it got cut short. They told me I couldn't continue my degree, so I stopped, and I finished I think it was my last chemistry class. And that was that. I never moved up to the higher level classes. And I went through depression, and I said, what is going on? What am I supposed to be doing? And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I was just sad because my job let me go because they said, hey, we need somebody here 40 hours. I'm like, I'm doing 32 hours for you guys. I'm bringing you guys in what needs to be bought in through the week, through the months, through the quarterly, through the years. I'm bringing you in the accounts. So they let me go, and I had no work, no school, and I was just crying and depressed. And I said, what am I going to do? So the one thing I did learn through being in sales is that I loved it, but I saw so much come across my desk financial wise that I said, what, I could do this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to figure out a way to do this for myself. I don't want to work where I'm not happy. I always felt like I could figure out a way to be in an environment where I could be happy, or create that environment for people to come to work and be happy. So when I was praying, a lot of things came up, and a big light bulb came up, and it was like, you have a teacher and you have your tools and you have a passion. Why do you keep suppressing it? And the reason I suppressed that is because I thought it would never make me money. I still, literally in December, I had a moment where I said, oh my gosh, I don't have faith in myself. What is wrong with me? I don't have faith in my product. I don't have faith in my business. And that's a huge chunk of it. So my answer was, ask your mother to help you. She's been in the sewing industry for over 10 years. She's your teacher. And you have 2 industrial machines. Get started. You've been sketching since you were 17. Get it done. So that was it. I started and then just tried it out. People responded very well. And I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I get my business license? Should I not get my business license? And finally I said, you know what? Let's just go for it. I'm never going to find out if I don't do it. So I finally got my license in 2018, and I've just been learning now as I go. I've had many failures. I recently did 2 huge events that gave me like negative equity, and I'm just like, what am I doing? So I'm still learning, but now it's different. I truly have faith in what my vision is and my product and what I want to give back. So that's where I'm at. I do 1940s, 50s reproduction women's clothing because I love that era. And I also do modern clothing, but I don't mass produce at the moment because when I did try mass production, it didn't work. So I'm in the verge of trying to figure out where is my balance, because I noticed women love customization. Mm-hmm. But because there's fast fashion, it's a conflict. So I'm in that level right now. So that's what I do. I literally have been doing it for a long time, but I finally did decide in 2018.
So where came the love for the 1940s and 50s fashion? That's very unique.
I just feel like women were so much more classy and took time to take care of themselves and present themselves in a very confident way through fashion. And it's different now. It's a different time. Women now have jobs, and like me, I have my kids and my family, and I'm trying to work my business. Back then, it wasn't that way for women. It was
Mm-hmm.
mostly being at home taking care of the family. But there was to me, there was like a beauty behind it, that women really took care of themselves, knew what kind of clothes they wanted to wear. I just find it so beautiful, and it's
Yeah.
not the same now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely different. Set yourself apart. Definitely. I, I can't imagine there's too many others, or is there, in
There's a
competition with
couple
you
of
around
us.
you?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
I've actually created some friendships and networks with some of these women.
Yeah.
They're amazing, but we
That's
do
great.
talk about how this is such a hands-on work, and it's so close to our hearts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, talk to us a little bit about, I know you mentioned early on talking about going to school and college and how you didn't really have anyone to help you out and kind of pave that path for yourself. But who are some of maybe the championship leaders, coaches, mentors that have impacted you, and how, what are some of the characteristics, either directly or indirectly, that have really made an impact on you in your life?
Spiritually, I have one mentor that I appreciate so much. He's been my mentor for a long time. That's President Daisaku Ikeda. He's a person that I admire so much. So President Ikeda is someone who was told at a very young age that he wouldn't live past, I think he was past 13. I don't remember the exact age. So just hearing his story through
Mm-hmm.
motivation and prayer, that he moved forward, and now he's close to his 90s and he's doing really
Wow.
good. And he's done a lot of peace movement speeches. So he inspires me a lot as a human being, because I have my moments where I'm like, how does he do it? I can't maintain my peace sometimes. I need to like pray.
Yeah.
As far as business, honestly, I've never had anyone mentor me at all. And I think I've always looked for something. I had someone that I came across. I found her. She's also an entrepreneur. She started her own fashion school. She does a little bit of different things. She's an artist. And she invited me to a meeting where I met, well, I didn't meet, but I saw a lot of people that I was, again, a deer in headlights. I remember the gentleman next to me was so excited at the meeting. I was like, where is like, Gary V's gonna be here? I'm like, who the heck is Gary V? What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
it was such a whole new world to me. And this was literally last summer. So
Yeah.
I saw Setema, I saw Gary, I saw so many amazing people, but I felt more connected to Setema and Gary. I also saw Ty Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And then through Setema, I found you. Because I think
Yeah.
he spoke to you on a podcast. And I'm like, okay, let's find out who Nate is. And I've been
We were
stuck
business
on,
partners for 3.5 years. So
yeah,
I just went 100% on my own. So, but yeah, we were business partners for 3.5 years.
that
So
is awesome. So yeah, definitely. You guys are my mentors right now, because I haven't had anyone. It's been you and September. I said I have to focus on just a couple of people, because it's just an overwhelming amount of mentors and coaches.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. Well, that's great. And, I think that's good for others to hear too, because there is so much information out there. I mean, there's lifetimes of information out there, really. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I think it's important to be able to pick a few that you can really, that resonate with you, and to lock into those, and get what you need to get from it. So, it's important for a lot, because there can be so much out there that you start like trying to listen to everything, and it
yeah,
can kind of just get you scattered more than helpful, right? So
yeah, definitely.
well, talk to us a little bit more about your vision, and what do you really want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you want this business of yours to grow into? What's the impact you want to make?
I, I just had a class yesterday where I really had to sit down and think, and I'm still in the process of putting everything together. But I want to be able to create a small business. I can't envision myself being a mass producer. No way. That's just not me. Maybe 5 to 10 employees. But I want to give back to the community. I've been trying to figure out maybe the one thing that I have noticed about myself is that I like to give back and I like to help people. So I want to be able to help somebody just like me and help them at an earlier age and not go through everything that I went through, to tell them, hey, you need to get a mentor. Hey, you need to do this if you want to get into business. Like, help them coach through that route and get them there a little bit faster. That way they can start focusing on the different lessons that they need to learn to become better. So I picture my business attached to some kind of program, or separately do a program where I can help the next generation figure things out, because I really honestly feel like we lack that in our community, in our society. And
Yeah,
that's what I envision so far.
I like it. That's great. Yeah, that's incredible. What's this is my favorite question. So, what's a critical moment or defining moment for you in your life, where obviously you did make the choice that you did, but had you not, you'd be somewhere very different. What comes to mind for you?
Well, I thought about this, and there's three. Definitely the moment where my prayer was answered, and it was like, hey, you have everything. Your mother's your teacher. You have the tools here. You have a passion.
Yeah.
Get to work. That was a
Hmm.
very big moment for me, because I just wiped my tears and I was like, oh my gosh, it's true. I have to do this.
Yeah.
The second one was my friend that told me, what are you going to do? You're just going to be another statistic. And that made
Yeah.
me realize, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Never. I want my kids to learn to be better. Um, there's a third one that, oh man, I'll never forget this moment. I had a friend. She wasn't working. Her husband was taking care of her, had just got her home. She had this huge, big diamond ring in her hand, a beautiful car. And I was just like dumbfounded, because here I am going to school, working 3 jobs, trying to figure out life. And I look at her and I said, can I ask you a question? How do you do it? And she said, I just ask and I write it down. And I was just dumbfounded, like, what? She's like, I live off of the earth. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So she was the one that told me about the book, The Secret.
Hmm.
And I jumped on it. And then she also told me, the things that happen to you is because you want them to happen to you. And I said, I don't want to work 3 jobs. I don't want to be struggling. What do you mean by that? I want it. And that made me realize there's something more I don't know, and I need to figure this out. So that
Yeah.
moment to me was very defining, because if it wasn't for her telling me, hey, go read this book and this is happening to you because you want to, it got me upset enough to go search the answer and figure
Hmm.
out, what is she doing right that I'm not doing right.
Yeah.
So that was another moment that really made my light bulb turn on.
That's great. Are you still in contact with that person?
No,
No.
no, it was a rough patch for us, and I was like, no more. Yeah,
Yeah. And so
yeah.
what are some of those things, what are some of the things that you taken from that that you do differently today?
I definitely do not stay complacent. I always say there's more. There's something else I need to learn. There's something, and I'm the kind of person that's very stubborn. If I don't find out what it is I need to do to better myself, it bugs me. I need
Yeah.
to know, what am I doing wrong? How can I become better? What is going on out there that I'm not part of? And I've always felt that way. There's something more that I don't know about, and I need to find out what it is. So because of that curiosity and that desire to be like, I need to know. I think that's what's also pushed me to keep going, keep going, keep going, even without mentors for a very long time, even without guidance for a very long time. That little push of wanting to know, I think that has gotten me here. Now I'm talking to you. I've come across so many wonderful people that have guided me in a direction where it's like, you have to stay on your path, you have to learn the lessons, and you have to just keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. What, so your name is Belen, but you go by a different name
Oh yes,
on your Instagram. What is that again?
it's Moiselle Amoureux. It's connected to the brand.
Okay. So
So
talk to us about that a little bit. I'm interested in that.
okay, so fashion to me, the way I've always seen it is, you always see the same person on the magazine, the same style clothing, the same shape. For a long time, it was like that. I hated picking up magazines because it was like, oh, same person, same person. I never really saw too much of diversity in fashion. So when I was creating my brand, I said, what do I want to give back? What is my message? And I sat down and I thought, why? I honestly just want women to really love themselves, because women go through so many phases.
Mm-hmm.
We have children, our body changes. We're constantly like, now it's like the hormonal changes, we're
Yeah.
constantly evolving as women. And we have to always be able to peel back the layers and return back to the lesson, which is love yourself at this phase, love yourself at that phase, just love yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where the message came from. I sat down, I said, this is my message. Woman, fall in love with yourself. Okay. So then I started looking at different languages and words. I didn't like it in Spanish because it sounded like a lingerie shop. So I was like, I'm not doing it in Spanish. So I stuck to French, and that's what it
What
means.
is it in Spanish?
Enamórate.
Okay.
Fall in love. So I was like,
Yeah.
no, it sounds like lingerie. I don't want people to think
Sure.
lingerie. So that's what it means. It means woman, fall in love with yourself, and Amoureux means love. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. And yeah, so we're going to start to wrap it up here a little bit, but what would be the one or two things that you could leave with the listeners today that if they put into action, it would help move their life forward today?
I think everyone has a specific formula for success. And you as a person know what you need. If your outlet is prayer, pray more. If your outlet is to read more, read more. Never give up and figure out your formula to your success, because not everyone's success is the same. Everyone needs to find, if you're an entrepreneur who really wants to move forward, you need to find out which aspect of my business or my entrepreneurship is missing to create that success for me. And I just say never give up. Get yourself a mentor, even if it's online.
Yeah.
Get it at the age of 5. Start now.
Right.
Start reading all these books everyone's talking about, because all I knew was biology, statistics, chemistry. Nobody ever said, hey, pick up this amazing book about entrepreneurship. Nobody ever said that to me. So definitely find a coach, find the books that are going to help you succeed, because biology is going to teach you just that, just biology. But how do you become successful as a biologist?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that would be it. Find yourself coaches and find that perfect formula that's going to work for you, and just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Beautiful. What are some ways that the listeners can find out more about you and your business and what you're up to?
I just have my website, which is amoureuxvintage.store. And then everything on social media is Amoureux Vintage. I will share that I am rebranding, but once the rebranding happens, there shouldn't be a reason for anyone to not find me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Instagram is what?
It's Amoureux Vintage, the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will get that linked up, of course, so that they can click on those easily and get to you and follow you and see what you're up to. And I definitely recommend, I love your page, Instagram, and
thank you,
and what you have on there, and your brand, and all of the different designs and custom work that you're doing. So appreciate you coming on. It's been a great time to get to actually meet you, not in person, but on camera here. And
yes.
Thanks for listening in, and thanks for taking time today to be here as a guest.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing with everyone. We need your podcast.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Have a great day.
You too.